Hey everyone, Shane here with eTrailer.com. Today I have a 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee. I'm going to walk through how to install Roadmaster's Direct-Connect base plate kit. Base plate is going to be one of 5 main components needed to flat tow any vehicle. Your other 4 are going to be your tow bar, which is the connection point between your base plate and your motorhome. Safety cables, which is a secondary safety device. Braking system, which is required by law in any vehicle over a certain weight when it's being flat towed behind a motorhome. Your wiring. Your wiring allows a motorhome to transfer lights to the back of your towed vehicle so that you're legal and safe. Now, with this being a 2013, it is going to require 2 additional components, possibly a 3rd one, depending on what braking system you're using. The other 2 are going to be a battery disconnect, which is going to make it much easier when you're getting ready to flat tow your vehicle to disconnect your batteries. You're not going to have to get under the passenger seat, disconnect the wire, and then reinstall the wire when you get to your destination. This is going to give you just a push button. When you're ready, you push a button, it disconnects the power to your battery and everything inside. You're also going to need a stoplight switch. The reason you need a stoplight switch is because the factory brake wire cannot be tied into on this vehicle. Stoplight switch, battery disconnect can be found here at eTrailer. Now, if you're using a portable braking system, it is going to require a 12-volt outlet, which also can be found here at eTrailer. And the reason you need that is because when you disconnect the battery and it shuts all power off to the inside of the vehicle, all of your 12-volt outlets are not going to have power anymore. This is what it's going to look like when it's installed when we're not towing our vehicle. So you can see it's going to maintain a nice clean look on the front. It's really not going to take away from the aesthetics of the vehicle itself. We're not going to have anything really protruding out from the bumper. It kind of becomes an eyesore. It is going to come with removable tabs, removable arms. You'll notice the end here is 2 flat sides, collapsible pin, it's spring loaded. To insert it, you simply slide it in until that pin collapses, twist it until it locks in place, hook up your tow bar. When you're ready to disconnect your tow bar, pull the pin, twist, and slide it out. The base plate is going to be a steel construction, black powder coat finish, so it's going to hold up really well against rust and corrosion. It's also going to be compatible with all Roadmaster motorhome mounted tow bars. You can find any of those here at eTrailer. This is where our safety chain loops are going to be. You can see large openings that will accommodate those larger safety chain hooks that are used for flat towing vehicles. As far as the installation process, fairly straightforward. It is going to require you to take off the fascia. I highly do recommend, once the fascia is off, when you're done installing the base plate, go ahead and install any additional components you're going to be installing, like the braking system, your diode wiring, or your bulb and socket wiring, anything like that. It's going to require you to run anything up here to the front. It's going to make it a lot easier that when you go to put this back in place, you can cut out your grill at one time. You don't have to take off your fascia, put it back on several other times when you install those other components, and then have to cut multiple times. Now we've gone over some of the features, let's walk through how to get it installed. To start your installation, we're going to take a 10mm socket in your wheel well. We're going to remove this 10mm bolt on each side of the vehicle. We're going to take a drill. We're going to drill the center out of these 2 rivets. Once you get those out, we're going to take this trim piece, we're going to pop it out of place, just like that. We're going to repeat that same thing on the other side of the vehicle. Next, we're going to come underneath the vehicle. You should have a splash guard right here. I don't know if our vehicle was in an accident or what was on, but it's missing a lot of stuff here. But I'm going to kind of walk you through what you need to take off. You're going to have a 13mm head bolt here and here that you'll need to remove. And we're going to move to the front You're going to have a small bolt here in the corner of your fender liner. You're going to have one on each side. You're going to have a bolt here, a push pin fastener here, bolt here, and bolt here. Once you remove those, you should be able to remove that the plastic splash guard. After you get that off, in each side, you should have one of these, just a twist. Twist it, and we're going to pop it out. You'll have one of these on each side. Once you remove those, you're going to come to the center, and you should have 3 more of them that run right here. Now what I recommend doing is taping these 2 edges. I'm just going to use some painter's tape. That way when we're taking the fascia off or putting it back on, if the 2 panels happen to meet, they don't chip or scratch the paint. Now another thing I recommend, and you're going to have to be careful with it, there's a push pin fastener right back here. You can pull your wheel well liner out just enough. You can reach up around the inside, and you can kind of squeeze the 2 ends together as you take a trim panel tool. We're going to try and pop that out. If for some reason you pop this out and this little fastener is stuck inside of there, remove it and install it back on here before you put this back in place. Next, with the next set of hands, we're going to start removing our fascia. It's a good idea to take the box that your base plate comes in, lay it right under the edge, because once we get it off, we're not just going to pull it off, we're going to have to disconnect our lights. What we're going to do is we're going to start in the outside corners. We're going to push up and then pull out. And we'll start working our way to the center. Once we get it out so far, we're going to disconnect our lights. We're going to push down and pull out. And then we'll set our fascia aside. Next, on our driver's side, we have 2 coolant lines. We're going to take a zip tie that comes in our kit. We're going to loosely install it like this. You're going to have a bracket right back here. Get a zip tie loosely around this one. And we're going to take these 2, we're going to zip tie our third one, we're going to use to zip tie these 2 together. We're going to take a 13mm socket. On each side, we're going to remove this bolt. We're going to set it aside. We'll be reinstalling it shortly. Now, if you didn't have tow hooks, these 2 weld nuts are going to be exposed. Spray some lubricant in there. Take a nylon toothbrush, and we need to clean out those threads. You're going to take one of these bolts. What we're going to be able to do is hand thread that in. If at any time you can't hand thread it in, we need to keep cleaning it. Now, a good idea that you can do if you don't have a tap and die set, if you find a bolt the same thread count got little grooves in it with a rotary tool. We can use that as a tap to help clean out that hole. And we're going to take our bracket for our driver's side. You want your safety chain loop to be towards the outside of the vehicle or towards the outside driver's side tire. We're going to take one of our long bolts. We're going to come up through the bottom. I'm going to make sure you put red Loctite on all of your hardware that comes in your kit from here on out. It looks like you may not, you can see our base plate is actually hitting these hoses here. Let's see if we can get it. One here, and the second one's going to go right back here. The long bolt should have a lock washer and a flat washer on. Take an 11/16 socket, and we'll tighten these up into place. We're going to take our factory bolt that we took out a few minutes ago, and we're going to reinstall it right here in this side, back in the place where we took it out of. And we can come back and we can tighten that down. If for some reason you start putting this bolt back in and it stops on you, that means it's not going in straight. Don't try to force it. Pull it back out, loosen these two to where you can adjust this bracket enough. You can get this to go in there straight, and then we can come back and tighten those back down. We'll leave this loose just a little bit. Come back and tighten these down. And then we'll come back and tighten that one down. Next, we're going to take one of our larger bolts. We're going to take a flat washer like this. We're going to slide it on. Come to this outside hole in our base plate. We're going to take a pipe spacer like that. Our bolt is going to go right up through the bottom of our bumper beam. On the inside, we're going to put a flat washer, lock washer, and then a nut. And we'll come back and tighten that down. For this inside hole, we're going to have to drill through the bumper core or bumper beam. So what I'm going to do is we need to go up to a 1/2 inch. What I like to do is take my 1/2 inch bit. I'm going to use it to center where my hole needs to be. To make it easier on myself, what I like to do, kind of use a series of smaller bits up to the 1/2 inch. It'll save the bits and save your shoulders. Next, we're going to have another pipe spacer. We need to get in between our bracket and our fascia where we just drilled that hole. If you find that the pipe spacer is not quite fitting in there, there's a couple of things you can do. You can loosen the two bolts on your bumper beam. You can loosen the bolts here on your bracket, or you can take a pry bar, just pull down on this just a little bit, just enough you can get this pipe spacer to slide over the top of that hole, just like that. Next, we're going to install this bracket. We need to make sure that this part is facing down. We're going to take our bolt, block washer, flat washer, come up through the bracket like that. We're going to go up through this hole, through our pipe spacer, and then through the hole we just drilled. On the inside, we're going to have a nut plate. This bolt's going to be threaded onto that nut plate. Then we're going to repeat that on the other side. Once we have all of our hardware in place, we're going to come back and we're going to torque it all to the specifications and the instructions. Next, you can come back once you have everything torqued and we can cut off our wires. Once you have everything installed, you're going to reinstall the fascia in reverse order from the way you took it off. You may have a little bit of trimming you have to do around your base plate here and around where your wiring plug attaches. Other than that, other than the trimming that you might have to do, you're just going to reinstall the fascia in reverse order from the way you took it off. That's going to do it for a look at installation on the Roadmaster Direct-Connect base plate kit on a 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee.